scrimmage?
Well, I thought it was a slow start for us. That was probably the negative. Is we just I just thought we were a little bit lethargic starting off. And obviously, the coach said it the other day. That means obviously the other side of the ball, the defense, I thought did a nice job starting fast. So it's not just a one-sided street of scrimmages. If something negative on one side happens, then it's positive for the other side. But a little bit of a slow start. But did like the way we bounced back and thought we executed in some situational football that was good. But a lot of growth, a lot of learning, a lot of good and bad, just like you would expect in scrimmage.
Brett mentioned two wide receivers that have played really well recently, Hudson Clement and then also, who's the other guy? Bowick really stood out. What have you seen from those two over the past 10 days?
Well, I think what I've seen is them getting more and more comfortable with what we're doing. And that's, obviously that should happen with time. It should happen the second time around of installation. Go through the install of the offense in the spring and then go through summer training, do it again in the summer, and get ready for camp. And so I think you're starting to see, their natural abilities to kind of be unlocked. And that's the case for every player, is that when they learn the offense, not just our offense, any offensive player, when you learn the offense and that part becomes second nature, it allows you your natural abilities to be displayed, and I think that's what we've been seeing from them.
Very good. We don't talk about maybe enough is Alexander Capca-Jones. How does he figure into that rotation? What have you seen from him?
Well, Cap's very flexible. He's very smart. When I mean flexible, he is flexible, but he's got some flex in where he can go, and he can play both spots for us. Very, very knowledgeable, catches and tracks the ball extremely well, and so is a smooth route runner. And I think he's ready. I think he's ready. And, we've had a lot of trust in him before, and he's played in moments, in critical moments, and made plays that impacted the game. So I think he's had a good, solid camp, and certainly a guy that we anticipate impacting our team.
You talk about time being important for Hudson and Justin just to get comfortable. But with Alex, in year 3, just what have you seen in his entire path here to put him in position?
Yeah, in some ways it's year 2, just because he got here so late,
sure.
In the summer, and kind of made a quick decision to, kind of go to that, what you say, that red shirt year, and I kind of got kind of hard to bring in somebody that late, learn the offense, get ready to play, show some flashes, felt like that was the right thing for him to do. So to your point, kind of the third go around or the second go around, I see a guy that, really strongly desires to play the best football of his career, like a lot of guys are when they're going into, what their perceived last year is. And so I think he's been very intentional and about his work ethic and his approach, and been really pleased with him.
I have a multi-part question about Ethan Hampton. What have you seen from him, first of all, and does the offense change any when he comes in? And not to give away the game plan, but can you see him getting some snaps in the opener against Western?
Yeah, so I've really, similar to those other transfers, I've seen the same thing with Ethan. Mastering the offense, natural skills unlocked. And I thought he had a really good spring, but he's had a really good fall camp, and been really pleased with his command of the offense, his decision making, and his delivery of the football. And so been really pleased with him. Number 2, I think that's been something that we've been trying to evaluate. I have is like, okay, when he's in the game, is there some manipulations that we need to do for the game plan? And I feel really strongly he can execute everything we're asking our guys to do A to Z. And he's proven that this camp. And as far as the game goes, listen, we're going to go in and we hadn't made that plan. We just want to play our best and prepare for an opponent that is going to be a great challenge, and an in-state opponent. That the game will mean a lot to them. It's going to mean a lot to us as well. So we haven't made the decisions about what that plan is. I know our goal is to go to play our very best game that we can possibly play.
We spent a lot of time talking about Luke and his growth and his leadership. What would it mean for you to see him be named team captain, and how have you seen that growth kind of set himself up for that?
Well, it was one of those deals that I think probably I expected to happen in the vote, or hoped it was going to happen, and certainly it did. And so I think that was kind of the final stamp of approval of of what I've seen and we've all seen from him about the way he's carried himself, as the team recognizes that and sees that on both sides of the ball. Very nice honor, not just for Luke Altmaier, but the other 5 guys that got honored by their teammates. That's something that they'll be able to take for them the rest of their lives. We got great leadership on this team. We got guys that didn't get voted captain that carry themselves like captains. And we have several of them on both sides of the ball, guys that didn't get announced that bring a lot of leadership to our football program, and I could go on and on about naming those guys off, but there's a bunch of those guys.
We're around 10 to 11 days until the season opener. What do you want to see from the offense, like cleanup or goals, before that season opener?
Yeah, I think we got a lot to clean up. I mean, that's a constant pursuit of perfection, and it's an imperfect game, but we're trying to pursue perfection. So daily, by each period, each opportunity, there's things to clean up, and we're just trying to polish up and pursue, trying to be as perfect as we can. Our pre-snap communication, there's stuff to clean up all the way around. That's one of the great things about football, and it's a great thing about camp. These meetings we get, there's always something to clean up. There's always something to celebrate too. And so I like our trajectory. We got some things to certainly tidy up down the stretch, just details for us before we get ready to play.
Barry, specifically from your perspective, those extra staff members that have been added over the last couple of years, you've always had Art, but from your perspective as the OC, has that changed the way that efficiency you guys do things in the building, and has that helped you take some stuff off your plate?
Yeah,
I kind of know where I'm going with that.
Well, I don't know of much like off the field. I mean, that's kind of been
Right.
the case for years now, that you've had support staff around you that could be involved,
Right.
in a lot of those things where the restrictions had been on the field, and I've seen a big difference and a big impact that our guys that are labeled as the assistant coach or the assistant to, or whatever, the support coaches that we have, the impact that they're making on the field is phenomenal. And the way they interact with people and our players, man, we got on both sides of the ball, and in special teams, we've got coaches hired a fantastic bunch of coaches that, could more than capable of running their own rooms, more than capable of running their own, coordinating their own side of the ball, and we're blessed to have them. I know on our side of the ball, just those guys that support, the guys that are labeled as the position coaches.
Right.
They're coaches too, and they're just as part of our success as anybody in our program, and I'm grateful for them.
Coach, a deeper tight end room, all the 5 linemen back. How do those kind of things, plus Caden Fagan, the physical back, how do those things kind of impact end of game situations where maybe you want to grind it out a little bit? Do you have more capability to do that this year, you think?
Well, I mean, I would hope so. The experience, I think, it's not about the people, it's the experience. We got people that are experienced, and we got capable line, capable tight ends, capable backs, and to be able to close out a game like we did in the bowl game, running the football is going to be super critical. We're going to have moments and opportunities, hopefully, during the game that when we get the ball, we let the other team have the ball. I think back, several of those moments since I've been here, and obviously one of the ones that jumps out big time is just looking back on Michigan my first year. We weren't able to close that out, and that was on me. And so, I think it's an attitude, a mentality, it's ability, it's experience, all those things. But certainly, if we get in that moment, I think we're going to hopefully take great pride in you got to be able to run the ball when everybody knows you're going to run the ball, and that's really at the end of the day what you got to be able to do. When everybody in the stadium, everybody watching TV says this is going to be a run, if you can run the ball in those moments, you have a chance to be really successful. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it'll be challenging. But I think that we got the ability to, at times be able to take, not take advantage of that, but rise up to that occasion. It'll be a great challenge, but that's what you have to be able to do.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Along those lines, what have you learned about the running back group? I don't know how much more there is to ask about them, or anything surprised you about what that's looked like healthy?
Well, they all catch the ball really well, and I think they all do a good job in protection. And I think the thing that jumps out to me is just how well they all get along and just pull for each other. I think we have that across the board at all position groups, but that position, that's a unique position. Similar to quarterbacks, usually there's one of them on the field, and that's the one position that's like that. The rest of them, you get a handful of guys from your position group on the field at the same time, and when there's only one, it's easy for you to want to be that guy, and there's just nothing wrong with that. But they just pull for each other, support each other in a phenomenal way, and I think that goes a long way in crediting just Thad and James and just how they mentor those guys. We got a great group of guys.
How's Malik looked since coming back from the hamstring, and just overall since last year? How do you think Malik has improved?
I think he's improved in his confidence and the understanding and knowledge of the offense, which again allows his natural abilities. It takes time. Some guys it takes a year, some guys it takes 2. Sometimes it just clicks. I think it's clicked with him, and I think he's playing with a lot of confidence and feel good about where Malik's at.
Dealing with
One more after this.
dealing with the injuries in the offensive line, what have you learned about that group? Whether it's the depth or anybody emerging?
Yeah, I mean we've had a little bit of we've been beat up a little bit, which is common for fall camp. I think there's been some guys that take advantage of the opportunities that's created. I think Dez has done a nice job of coming in and, a guy that's kind of been banged up himself and been really pleased with the way Dez and that's one of the things that jumps out to me. The other guys, Zafir's just taken just buku of reps, and so is Kellen Francis, and those guys that have been thinned out, the guys that have been the mainstays have gotten tons and tons of work, and we really appreciate that, appreciate their grit, and they've gotten better from it.
You guys performed well in one possession games last year. What are some of the things in preseason, where you're executing and trying to enforce these simulated circumstances? What are some of the things that you emphasize to the guys when what you're looking for in those pressure situations?
Well, I think one of the main reasons that we have done well, that doesn't mean what we've done in the past will carry over, but one of the main reasons is because Coach preaches it and we practice it. We spend a lot of time talking about situational football, and our guys are comfortable in those moments because I think of education and practice reps, and that's something that I think we do really well, and our guys have gained some confidence, and we try to, in those moments, try to be simple and straightforward, so our guys, natural abilities can take over and not think too much in those moments. And so, in the last part of that, I would say, is the quarterback play. Luke has been he's had a lot of probably ice water in his veins in some critical moments, and that's ultimately how you win end of game and end of half situations. You got a guy back there that gets it done, and he's continued to show, or has shown in the past, that he's very comfortable in those moments.